By the way, that Enigma, that looks pretty cool.
Okay, so we just started recording. Welcome to the show, everybody. Here's our weekend broadcast, and there you are on YouTube. You've been immortalized. They even have your picture. Go look at that afterwards. That's funny. But anyway, I suppose we should hit present to everybody and make sure we can all see. So welcome back to another exciting episode of the Broiler Chicken Show. And the RationalInvestor.co, having fun, trade crypto. Actually, I took a bit of a day off yesterday after class. I just sort of flaked out. I just was like, you know what, I got to take a break. So wasn't really on the site that much yesterday afternoon. And as you can see by our Bitcoin chart that we have up on the screen here, doesn't look like I missed a whole lot. Anybody watching this video, if you aren't aware of the big fundamental event that's coming up here on the 1st of August, you probably should be aware. We at TRI have been sort of considering, what our options are with regard to the and I think what the community is actually looking at this as is the fork of Bitcoin will basically create a new altcoin. Is it going to be labeled BCU or BCC or BCS? I'm not quite sure. I think that's still up in the air. I've been sort of hearing BCC, but don't quote me on that for absolute certainty. Keep your eyes open. It's just that simple. We had been humming and hawing about whether we should keep our coins that we have for the TRI platform on the exchanges, whether we should move them completely off the exchanges, and keep them in cold storage. I think entirely that's a decision you have to make on your own. Some exchanges are going to be honoring the fork and the BCC credit to your account. Some aren't, and so you got to be careful, of course, depending on what exchange you're on, to make sure, if you do want to take advantage of these BCC coins, to make sure that you have, at the very least, have your coins on an exchange that is going to honor them. I know for certain that Bittrex said that they are going to. Some aren't, though, like Poloniex, which has been kind of on the outs anyway of late. They've said that they aren't going to. I wouldn't be surprised. I remember through the ETH/ETC issues, same sort of thing, and eventually all of the exchanges said, yeah, okay, we'll honor the ETC. But, better safe than sorry. Maybe try and, today is the 30th, correct? Yeah. So technically the fork is supposed to happen on the 1st. You have basically about 24 hours now to do something. I think it's really important, and we are very lucky because Sjord seems to have a pretty good nose for this. I think it's really important that you understand the implications of moving Bitcoins around through this fork event. Me personally, I'm not going to be moving Bitcoins around at all through the fork. We're going to move all our coins that we have in sort of the trading accounts over to Trex to take advantage of the fork, but I'm not going to be moving coins from exchanges to exchanges or exchanges to cold wallets or even spending Bitcoin. And I would highly recommend you don't actually go down that road. So, Sjord, we were chatting yesterday and he brought up some really interesting points and we have them here. So Sjord, if you'd like to, can you maybe just tell the community what you were thinking about some of the issues that are going to be around moving Bitcoins around through all this?
Yeah, sure. So, like you said in the introduction, some exchanges will honor the Bitcoin Cash, and some won't. And Coinbase and Bitstamp are definitely two exchanges that said they won't support Bitcoin Cash either. So at the moment, I'm looking at Bittrex, Kraken, and Bitfinex for the exchanges that will give you the Bitcoin Cash amount of the BTC that you currently have on that exchange. And I think what's important to understand is that you really need to be careful about security, even if your Bitcoins are in cold storage. And the reason I'm telling that is because I'm afraid that some people might get taken advantage of. So if you have your Bitcoins in cold storage before the fork happens, that's all fine and good to do. But after the fork, if you decide that you want to take advantage of Bitcoin Cash, because Bitcoin Cash, the network, it will know of the existence of your coins. There is software where you can upload or export your wallet into in a wallet that supports Bitcoin Cash. So then you will have access to your Bitcoin Cash amount based on the Bitcoin that you already owned before the fork. But the tricky thing about this is that once you export your wallet and import it in the software, the guys that create the software, or the exchange for that matter, has complete access to all your Bitcoins on the Bitcoin network as well, because it's the same wallet, right? So please make sure that before you do something like that, move your Bitcoins to a different wallet after the fork, and only then try to attempt to access some Bitcoin Cash by exporting and importing your wallet. This is something that I'm afraid that messages will start popping up on Reddit soon after the fork, that people lost their Bitcoins in some kind of way. So please make sure that you move your Bitcoins after the fork and only then start dealing with Bitcoin Cash. This is my main concern and advice to everyone who is going to try to play this game. So yeah, that's the main point I wanted to point out on this subject. Yeah, okay. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Was that site that you had linked earlier, you made reference to, was that in relation to this, or is that something totally different?
No, that's something I actually got tipped today. So that's I can post a link in the chat. It's let me post it. Enigma.co. And I got tipped this link, and the cool stuff is that it's a one-stop shop for quants. So basically, as a developer, you can work on your trading strategies, automated trading strategies, and other people can access them. And so it's a kind of a quant marketplace for strategies. And I really like the idea of this. And if you now sign up to a referral link, or just normal on the platform, you get a free coin while supply lasts. So it's not that bad to check it out.
And you to participate.
Yeah, and if you look at the team, there's some bright people in there. So this might definitely be something to look into further.
You know these guys?
No, but going out of the descriptions and the history they have, that doesn't look too inexperienced.
Okay. All right. So thanks for that idea too, Stuart. That's a great contribution. Something for site members to think about. By all means, if anybody else that's in the round has sites or services that they've stumbled upon that they're interested in, feel free to mention it. Post the link. Be more than happy to pass along the community. And so long and short of it here, I think, to be perfectly honest with you, it's a little bit, in my opinion, dangerous to try and second guess the market here through this fundamental event. We had put this market symmetry study over top of this perpetual bit mixed swap chart. And in a weird sort of way, this is kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen here through this. And we often say in the education programs that when does technical analysis kind of fail? And the big failing is around big fundamental driving events. And I got a sneaky suspicion that we're actually going to see like a lot of washing back and forth. They're going to put double tops into the marketplace, get everybody thinking technical. But through this fundamental window, I got a funny feeling there's going to be a lot of chop back and forth here. So be careful from the trading side. And then, of course, as we get closer and closer to August 1st, I actually think that, you know, and the reason why I'm thinking uppy here is I believe that a lot of people are going to be simply going to be wanting to own Bitcoin to get the free BCCs. And I don't know whether that's going to create artificial demand, but I definitely think that we can see it, of course, in the altcoins. That sort of started maybe Thursday, Friday-ish, where they were just sort of dumping positions wholesale. And if anything, you know, my advice actually to the community is let this fundamental event happen and maybe even just let the dust settle. I do think, though, what probably is going to happen, and this, of course, is just opinion, but what I do think is if we take some time and just pull up the ETC chart from the get-go, I got a funny feeling that we're going to see a similar sort of situation. And, you know, I think it's worth us, you know, just sort of taking a look at how that, you know, came to market. And if anything, maybe just sort of use that as a bit of a roadmap. And it's interesting, too, because if we think about it just sort of from I don't know, maybe USD is probably better. It doesn't really matter. Actually, I don't remember that going up like that. Maybe on these other ones it looks different. I'm just wondering if we're probably going to see some similarities in price action. Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking here. So if we think about Bitcoin and, you know, especially with regard to this sort of this market price forecast symmetry kind of action, what would this mean, you know, if this symmetry played out? We're sitting at about 2,900 and they knock it back down to like 24, 23, 2,600. And sort of what our average price for people, I'm thinking like 2,700, maybe 2,800, and knock it down to like 2,400, 2,300. Can you see how that's sort of like about $400 or something along those lines? And I think that that's going to be like this move here is going to be simply the market pricing, you know, taking out the, because isn't this BCC going to come out around $400? I think I've heard that a couple times. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be sort of bid up into the event, then they knock it down just to simply reflect the difference in the BCC being taken out of the equation. Anybody, I seem to recall seeing a few times yesterday when I was looking around that $400 reference. And can somebody else validate that for me, please? I don't know, maybe I'm totally off there. I should probably throw this on here too, just in case people want it. What happens when I do that? All right. Anyway, anybody? Does anybody see that number? I seem to recall. I think that is what I have been seeing. All right, Casey sort of validates that. 350. So there is actually a futures contract on this BCC already trading. That'd be really interesting to see. Has MEX got forward contracts going? Anything up here? Bitfinex? All right, I'm not quite sure what the hell that is. $2,400? Ooh, rock on. I'll take that price. Sold. I don't know whether any of these. What's this? BCC, BTC. Maybe that's how we're coming up with that 400 number. Oh, what do we got here? Is this a future? $700 there? Anyway, if somebody can, and I suppose that this is what, that's 0.93, so that's basically parity. Yeah, $2,400 BCC is a different one. Okay, yeah, so that's something else. Yeah, and that's probably where all the confusion about what the symbol is going to be. All right, so Bitcoin Cash futures. I wonder where this is actually listed. Does it say? Interesting how they have a website. Do they already have a website up and running? Bitcoin Cash peer-to-peer. There we go. So August 1st at 12:20 p.m. UTC. So please make plans accordingly. I think that's actually going to be. Is that just afternoon UTC time? So hit BCC. So it is. VIA BTC. Yeah, and probably it's going to be this particular mining pool that's going to be talk about a 51%, right? Because they're going to be pretty much the only ones supporting this thing, right? A bit scary. Anyway, what I think is going to happen, and I think we can use that ETC model. I think actually what's going to happen is, in essence, this thing's going to come out of the gate. I don't know why we keep going to that one. Which one was it? I think it was Bitrex. I thought this was such a cool one. That it? No, that's not it. Okay, now Brian's got to get his head on straight. Maybe that was it. Yeah. So I got a funny feeling we're going to do something along these lines, right? Where we're going to, it's going to come listing. It's going to like literally have an insane first candle. And what I'm worried about, especially with, Sjord's kind of thoughts, is what I'm worried about is there's just going to be a mad rush as people, as these exchange credit the coins to your account. There's just going to be a mad rush to cash in. And if it's like $300-400, something like that right out of the gate, what I'm really worried about for the community is that they're probably going to get filled at like $200, $250, $275 or something. It's probably going to ultimately bottom at like $150 or something like that. My advice and what our sort of plan is at TRI is, we got to endure this first dump. It will come. But there's usually a pretty good little bounce. And what hopefully you guys have been working with us long enough to appreciate the good old 50% rule. But do you see how the market did bounce back to the 50% level here? Briefly. But in essence, if I'm going to liquidate the BCC coins, I'm going to wait for this bounce here to liquidate them. I'm not saying that the story is going to go exactly like this. You never know what the fuck's going to happen. But, on balance, if I had an expectation, my hunch is it's going to play out like this. So, it actually means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, I might be sitting on those BCC coins for a week or two. It wouldn't surprise me. And of course, Brian, conservative dinosaur, I'm never in a hurry to do anything, right? I'm just going to be nice and patient and just let this play out. My hunch is it's going to go something along these lines. And then also, too, if we sort of think about, you guys are telling me that they're, $350 or so. I could very easily see, oh, that's encouraging. Somebody in the lounge writes, Dennis Rodman is backing BCC. And he's taking it over to China or to Korea as a sacrifice to his newfound friends in Pyongyang, along with some potcoin. He's going to offer them a BCC platter with a sprinkling of potcoin. I guess it's a bit scary in the crypto space when Dennis Rodman is our spokesman. What happened there? Bring Amanda back. Where's Amanda? We want Amanda. We want Amanda. We want Amanda. No? Nobody wants Amanda? Oh, okay. So, Bitcoin sort of talk prognostications, I'm still thinking we're going to play out like this. It's going to be messy. It's going to be choppy. This is a fundamental driver. And really, I would argue for most new people to trading, most new people to crypto, don't try and second guess this. They're just going to make a monkey out of you. You're going to zig when you should have zagged. You're going to zag when you should have zigged. You know, in the lounge the other day, I heard somebody saying, you know, when they bid price up to here, should I go and buy Bitcoin here and sell all my altcoins? And the irony of it all is Bitcoin did nothing more than just drift lower for 12 weeks or 12 hours. And now sort of everybody's sort of, okay, Bitcoin kind of soft. What are they going to do? They're going to take it up and they're going to bust this high just to piss everybody off. She said she is taking a break. Okay, poor old Amanda. And then, you know, they're going to get everybody to FOMO buy and ramp everybody in. All right, Bitcoin's going to the moon and they're going to go and break their hearts. I really, you know, I'm not saying that price action is going to follow like this, but considering we have a big fundamental driver, if anything, guys, this is great education for you guys as professional traders. Just watch the monkey games that go around and go on through these fundamental events. They can be pretty wild. And really, I think on balance, traders, right, should actually just let the dust settle. I got a funny feeling, and I've been sort of talking to you guys a bit about this, but my hunch is we're going to have some insane fireworks through this. But if we actually look at like last summer, I think actually this is what the traders actually have to be watching for. Is, you know, big, you know, what a I find it fascinating that we have such a similar price action here. Big event through the beginning of August, and then really what the traders are going to do is they're just going to simply wait for this consolidation following the fundamental event. And really our trade direction is actually going to come on whatever the resolution is following this event. I really don't think, guys, you know, like you aspiring traders and people that want to outsmart the market, I don't think that there's really anything for us to do right now. Let this event just get out of the way, and then once the dust is settled, we'll let the price action in the charts dictate our thinking. I'm also worried too. There is a definite remote possibility that just even over the short term, where was that chart? Under somewhere. I think I did it on the tether chart. Yeah, there is a definite possibility of, you know, when Ms. Goldman Sachs was saying that she was looking for this kind of action. There is, considering this is a big fundamental driver, there is a distinct possibility that they might just AB equals CD this thing hard up here in the short term. And it's a trader's life, eh? You just never fucking know in this game. If this happened, I would be concerned that, oh boy, that's it, and tankaroo. I would prefer that didn't happen. But make no mistake, you know, the market will do what the market does. I would prefer that we get a nice orderly consolidation thinking Miss Goldman Sachs and set a base for our next move higher. If we just AB equals CD violently up through these highs and she just doesn't look back, I'm going to really be hunting for shorts up in here. Well, you know, you considering we did have an inside bar here on the tether fire. You can see how they brought the price back here. It's definitely a horse race right now, no doubt about it. Am I going to take this long trade? No. I think if anything, that's a little bit, this is, you know, if I had my druthers, I'd actually like to be just sitting in cash right now, let this fundamental event happen, and then, like I said, just simply position myself for the other side of this trade. But, you know, unfortunately, we are in the market. We are long a bunch of Bitcoins. We've got some shorts working, and we actually sold some Bitcoin up top here. I'm going to let the shorts work and just simply risk against these highs. If they're taking out our, our stops in the margin that we put in those shorts, so yeah, the positions will just get liquidated. If that does happen and it plays out like this scenario, I'm going to be watching like a hawk up here for our next sort of hedging window. But I definitely am not going to be chasing and buying up here. That's absolutely certain. Max says, what do you think about this amount of shorts on Bitfinex where BCC will be not counted? Bitfinex, home of the socialized losses. Yeah, well, and of course the Bitfinex still has all their issues about I don't know. Is that have all the tokens been redeemed? Does anybody know? Are they gone now? But yeah, if anything, as James says, that's the land of socialized losses. So Max asked the question. He says, what do you think about this amount of shorts on Bitfinex where BCC will be not counted? I suppose it probably could take me some time to sort of, sift through this and give you an opinion. Maybe I'll look at it through the day and post something in the lounge. I suppose, it can be open to interpretation. Short ratio at 57%. Likely traders are short on Bitfinex where you don't have to repay BCC, and long elsewhere, free BCC. In essence, it almost sounds like I don't know whether you could do a cross-exchange arbitrage. I suppose that would make sense, right? If anything, this is the kind of trading that I try to avoid because I like to trade setups. I could easily see this kind of data working in your favor. Now, if this data supported either a long or a short setup, then great. I used to know one guy in particular, Matthew. We haven't seen him on the site in a while. He was super jazzed about following Finex margin long, margin short positions. I never think it's really a good idea to take any one reason to justify a trade. I would like to see, you have several reasons. So if you want to use this as a supporting reason, that's fine by me. I'd have to sort of dig into it and try and interpret the data to give you a really professional answer here. Sorry to give you a cop-out response there. If anything, just give me some time, Max, through the day, and I'll mull that over and think about an appropriate answer for you. I could see, though, there is definitely a possibility of a big short squeeze into this event and they just pop the tops. It's definitely a possibility. I'm not gonna deny that. I think, however, given the propensity, for fuckery, for lack of a better word, through these fundamental events, I think it's probably best that we maybe not try to second guess the market through here. You could end up really doing some serious damage to your account by being too cued. I think, as we sort of said with our market symmetry right now over the short term, and what I'm probably expecting for the rest of today's session, and what they'll probably do is they'll set up some sort of, can you guys see how they could easily put a little top in here? And then that sets up a liquidity pool, and they'll pop the top through London kill zone, for example. Right? I think on balance, that's sort of the direction that we're heading over the short term here. And we've talked about this lots, especially off of this chart. I think the institutions on balance, they really love this level here. And I wouldn't be surprised if OKCoin has to come back to that level, maybe even trade back to value high here. If anything, this is an excellent testament to just simply having patience and discipline in a trade. We strapped the trade on based on the original double top premise. It's actually come in and put a bottom in here. But really, on balance, I think I'm well served just to leave this alone, let it work. Little disappointed we didn't get down to Mountain Man. I'm a bit surprised that we never traded down to Mountain Man. Maybe OKCoin has that in the works. You know, supporting that thesis of the market moving up over the rest of today and into sort of London kill zone. Can everybody see how we actually have a confirmed momentum divergence here now on OKCoin? So we have higher lows there. And a nice little breakout there. And that all came and developed through the market making lower lows. So if anything, we could argue that the sort of downside push on the Chinese exchanges ran out of steam last, I don't know whether it was last night or not. And I don't know whether I heard necessarily people saying they were thinking long. Like I said, I kind of took yesterday off. But I think it's understandable to just simply look for a move back to the POC here. Seems like this is now actually an important level. And maybe, you know, into London kill zones tonight, there's this high, probably represents a little bit of a liquidity pool. You can see how that's the POC. And there's, we could even argue, we could put our little heart right up here. Looks like there's a nice MUOC to be eaten up there. So I'm not going to touch this trade, just let it work. At the same time, I can completely see, you can totally see that the market has got this top and this bottom working. In essence, it's defined a trading range, right? Top of the range over in China is up here. Bottom end of the range is right there. And really, wouldn't surprise me that we just park ourselves almost exactly midpoint of that range. So we'll see how it goes. And as we always say, if you are a bear, what must you do if you see this develop? Anybody remember? Might there be an effect of lots of people move large amounts of BTC back into exchanges from cold storage? Well, that's kind of what I think is going to happen over here. Where the hell is that chart? One of these charts, right? I think that's what happens here. I think, you know, and it's interesting how this lines up almost perfectly with the first, right? I think, you know, into that event, there's going to be some washing. Can they wash out these weak tops? We'll run some weak stops. Then probably some position squaring into the actual event. I wouldn't be surprised the knee-jerk reaction is to sell that BCC and get into Bitcoin, which is going to create demand for Bitcoin. And then once that's sort of played out, then we're going to get sort of a washout, clean out of the Bitcoin. Depends on the motive why they are moving back to the exchange. Yep, that's correct. Does that kind of try and help you a little bit in crypto, Bob? I don't know. All right. So an interesting, I'm hearing Max says, next fundamental event is possible SegWit lock-in August 8th. Yeah, you know, the interesting thing about this is because there is this fundamental event and there's going to be a bunch of screwy here, I don't know. You just never know in trading. I mean, maybe the market launches itself higher here. I don't think so. I think it's going to go something like this. But at the same time, you know, hey, you never know what the fuck's going to happen in this world. You always have to be open for any possibilities. And so if price did launch up higher here, then we can't really ever be in a position where like, oh, well, we never imagined that happening. We always have to sort of think about different scenarios, and if they play out, so be it. But if somebody asked me, Brian, what do you think's going to happen through this? I'm leaning towards this kind of action in here. It's going to be really screwy over the next few days, guys. It's just as simple as that. Sucks, I know. And if anything, like my message, if I was going to like suggest a journal entry, does anybody remember, you know, because I was a prop crude trader. And every Wednesday we have a big fundamental news event in the crude pits, the weekly API data. So does anybody remember what would Hogue in Nebraska do about a half hour, 45 minutes before that news event? Anybody remember our stories? Benjamin, you probably remember this. Maybe Graham, you remember. Stuart, you probably should remember. James, you remember. Right. Get out. Close all positions. Right. So ironically enough, and I know we don't have the luxury to do that, but if we were quote unquote professional traders, you know, here to day trade to make money from trading, I think you're actually best served to just get the fuck out and let the dust settle here. Now, of course, we don't have that luxury because we're all on crypto and we're all crypto enthusiasts and we love crypto and there's no way we're ever going to sell our Bitcoins. So that's not a luxury we can have. But if I had my druthers, I would just say, you know what? Let's all just hop off to the sidelines, let the dust settle, and then take the trade following this event. So there you go. Yeah, well, you know, and that's sort of what I guess I'm doing with my little hedges here. Garrett says, well, why not work both sides of the trade? In essence, we're long a shitload of Bitcoins, right? And we've got on our NBTs and our SBTs and our GLOLDs and our tethers and our OKCoin forward shorts and our MEX shorts. So we have taken a lot of steps. And actually, interestingly enough, I have to say, considering the damage that has happened in the broader crypto world, some of these coins have just gotten their asses kicked recently. We've actually fared pretty well through this correction, just hanging around the 100,000 mark. So I'm actually pretty pleased with what's happened here. But make no mistake about it, you know, if we're in crypto and we want to stay long crypto, we gotta do some extra work here and extra effort. If anything, I can't wait. We talked last week about the Ledger X site coming online and them getting all their CFTC approval. So I'm really excited. You know, technically I should be able to just stay long Bitcoin and be able to just go and buy a few put options to cover our butt here. We're just waiting for this thing to get going now. It's not quite ready yet. In essence, I'm waiting with bated breath for these guys to come along. And my hunch is that when these guys actually do come along and they're ready to go, that's probably your top in Bitcoin, because then Wall Street will have the ability to lock in prices and a lot of the volatility in Bitcoin should come out. Now, you know, that unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen overnight. What I think probably happens is, you know, I definitely think Miss Goldman Sachs, excuse me, is basically on cue, and all you Bitcoiners should be rah happy about this. This feels like a freight train. This feels like you'd be an idiot to step in front of this thing and call a top on Bitcoin. That's honestly how I feel. I think that we might get a surge up into here and then a consolidation. This son of a gun just keeps going. But no, I certainly feel like 3,000, if not, you know, better part of 4,000 is very doable in Bitcoin's future here. So as I said, I think, you know, whatever this consolidation looks like, the push higher is still, I think, in the cards. I would be really surprised right now to actually see these bids get filled in here. I wouldn't be surprised to, you know, Miss Goldman Sachs has sort of postulated that we might have to come down and wash these lows. Maybe that's what gives me my fill down in here. I don't know. But my hunch is that we're doing something like this, but only time will tell. And the worst part about it for all you Bitcoiners, and it was kind of sort of, I was stuck here with the broiler chickens because I know you guys want trades. I know you guys want setups. Okay, what are we going to go buy? What are we going to go trade? And what I'm seeing right now is actually the best thing to do is just cool your jets. Sorry, guys. Don't mean to be a pain in the butt. And if we go and look at all these alts, you know, all these various alts, just give me any alt. you know, really, I had suggested all along here that if we're thinking, I'm sorry, Stuart. If we're thinking, what is our sort of crypto summer going to look like? I've been saying it since day one of the summer, and I still think that this is basically what our path is going to look like. It's not going to be, woo, new bull market, we're all getting rich. It's going to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, you know, if anything, and I did notice in the lounge we were sort of talking about this yesterday, and I think actually this is a good conversation for us to have. You can, at this point, I think it's a good idea if you're thinking about trading to try and ask yourself, who's going to give me my double the fastest, the quickest, the easiest? And so when I look at something like a game credits, and somebody was posting this in the lounge, I think it's very realistic to look for a 50% bounce here. So, you know, if we're hunting setups here off of the 75,000 area, my double comes in around the 61.8. I don't get a double if it goes just back to the 50% rule. I don't think it includes crypto just yet, Graham. That's a good question, though. So, Fjord, are they, even the altcoins, are they included in any of the screeners at the moment? Yes, but data is limited. Yeah. And thanks for the feedback, Graham. I suppose we could take some time to talk a little bit about that. And in fact, just an update, we're talking back and forth with Coinigy, and they do have sort of a data product. I don't know how confident Fjord is in working with their data product now. I don't think they've actually even polished it up yet, though, have they? Okay, so back to our story here. Ask yourself as you're sort of going through your setups, where is a realistic double, right? And, you know, if anything, you know, we were sort of doing this. We were also looking at DGB. And I do the same 50% level. And can you guys see that? And this is just purely statistics, nothing more. Not a commentary on the coins, not a commentary on the charts, just pure statistics. Can you see here at 600 and change? Well, I can get a double just on a move back to the 38.2. So in essence, I think it behooves you to actually go through this process, and the coins that you are interested in, quote unquote, trading and trying to make some money from trading on setups here going forward, really be selective in your choice and really look, because there's a bunch of them, right? A lot of the crypto space looks like this now. Really, if anything, this is, you know, and we often say this is the only business when stuff goes on sale nobody wants to buy. Now, if you had the patience and discipline to wait for the blow off top to happen and to wait for the nice technical correction to take place, now this should be just a shopper's paradise. And you actually have the luxury to choose. Well, yeah, I like that one a little bit better. Man, I like that one a little bit better. Well, look at this one over here. All I got to do is get a move back to 38.2 and I can double my money. That's going to capture more of your attention than something like that game credits. Does that make sense? This is just purely from a technical perspective. I think that's something to consider as you go through sort of your screening process, which is the easiest name for me to make my double on. And I see this happen all the time. So, you know, some coins they'll set up where, and it just shocks you, right? Where maybe your buy comes in here and you can get a double just by a move there. And a move to the 50% rule is like 4 or 5-fold increase. So this is really more a question about where am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck, right? We only have so much money to spend. Where am I going to have that money most effectively deployed? And Crypto Bob says Saya coin is below 300. All right, not quite sure what that means. Is that a cryptic message? Are we all supposed to go and do something? SC. All right. What does SC look like? Yeah, well, you know, I'm not quite. Is there a story around this insane candle here? Let's see if it's same old. Well, it's not there now. So, and this is interesting. So, in crypto, Bob, are you relatively new to the site? What do you think, guys? If we look at this, I wonder if we are even at trade location. Oh, that was interesting. Not sure what happened there. Trading view. Interesting. Okay, let's try that again. I must have clicked on that button there. So we can see where the original bottom is. Oh boy, these kind of names give me heartburn. Can you see, Bob, how, do you see the original bottom here? There's your floor. There's a lot of names like this, right? People became like literally paper millionaires. And if anything, this is a great testament to why I encourage people to robotically, you know, in your trading plans, try and create like sort of forced selling levels. Do you think anybody called that top perfectly? You think anybody who bought this coin in here had any idea it was going to go up to here? I doubt it. I would be shocked if we actually, oh yeah, I called that perfectly. And I bought everything here and I sold everything here. That's almost asking, you know, for perfection, and I have yet to ever see that in the market. I think that if you bought this W, then I love the idea of spoon feeding out coins as levels come in. But what I'm worried about here is this almost feels trappy. Kind of like, remember that dash chart that I showed you earlier? Where I think what's going to end up happening is there's going to be like a trading range established, and it's going to be like, woo, chop Vegas. And then, of course, we're heading into the dangerous season, October, November, December, where these guys better, if they perform, they're going to do this. If they don't perform on whatever it is they propose, they're going to do this. So this is a really dangerous area to think about investing. I suppose one could argue, you know, trade setups if you were like really gung-ho. I don't mind the idea of, you know, just sort of, you know, there's a cute little double bottom within a double bottom. Nice little W there. They ran it up on a bit of volume. You can see though, boosh, right? They're coming after. It's interesting how we even call what you know, if I bought this, I think I'd actually be inclined to want to work my stop against that level. And it's interesting how basically they brought the market right down against that level. And you can see how they're trying desperately to fractal this here, right? I suppose you could argue that this is a shark setup, right? So we've got a confirmed double bottom, and you're just going to work your bid at the 78.6. Wow, not a bad fill, eh? And you could even go and buy it right now if you wanted to. Are you a trader? Trader's got a trade. Is the shark setup in your trading plan? If it is, I actually would expect you to take this trade. And if you said, yep, I trade sharks and I'm going to risk against the lowest low here, well, live by the sword, die by the sword. Market's sitting right there, giving you the level. And you got to risk to a break of this low. If it breaks this low, you just got to walk away. It's simple as that. So I don't know whether shark is in your trading plan, but there it is, glorious Technicolor. I am concerned though, and really, you know, on balance, that's not a bad risk, right? Simply go long there. You're going to risk to a move through that low. And I would even say maybe on a 2-to-1, let half of it go. So really all you're doing is you're just grabbing it here, looking for a test of this here. Let a bunch go, move your stop to scratch. and see if you can just ride the rest. But, you know, given where we are relative to the original bottom, can you see how this low here, this high here, and now this low here, can you see, you know, actually I like talking about this with people like called the parking garage. Does it make sense that we got a hell of a level right in here? Clearly somebody's interested in both defending these lows and this high, and you can even see now we have another low right in here. So if she loses this level, it's just open air down here, right? Right when it was added to Bittrex, is that when that event was, Benjamin? Last week of May. Okay. Yeah, so, you know, the way I would look at this is, you know, if you're a trader, well, it's just sitting there, right? Do you have the patience discipline? Do you have the balls to get in there and buy it and risk against these lows? I would say, you know, just looking at this, probably a coin toss. But if you can get yourself into a relatively risk-free position, and move your stop to scratch on any kind of bounce in here, you might have a really juicy little trade on your hands. If anything, what we should probably do is maybe just go look at what the internals are suggesting. Do we have any divergences? Willie was stupid there, coming back down, testing the lows. We did have a divergence right there, but it kind of looks like it's played out. We had this volume surge here, but then the buyers seem to have backed away. So, yeah, it's an interesting little setup. It's just sitting right there. But if you take it and it breaks these lows, you better get the hell out of there. All right. Anyway, so somebody asked, sort of, that we look at that. There you go. Supply is very high on this coin. Risky, I would say. All right, and you know, here's the kick in the pants payment is there's a great example. So let's go talk about 19 million on this thing. Yeah, where is it? This one here. Oh, they don't even show it. That's weird. Probably gonna have to go over to Coin Market Cap. Well, anyway, I think I've talked this into the ground. You guys see what I'm thinking. You know, is this sort of a little old lady kind of consideration? Nah, I don't think so. Not at these levels. Is this a trade, a shark setup? Yeah, totally. Got to take it though. If you're a shark, you got a shark. And you know, shark makes great monies on the upside, but there's no guarantees. Shark's got to get stopped out too. Never seen a trading setup that was 100% accurate all the time. Okay, let's, in fact, maybe what we should do is let's pop on over to the daily brief request room and let's see if we can just clean this up. Any names that we might have missed. Not, actually did some buying on Not recently. Sand, I'm not quite sure we were able to get that one. IOC, yeah, we haven't looked at IOC in a while. Let's see what IOC looks like. And if anything, anybody who wants this SC chart, and see if you can sort of replicate this on your platform. There it is. That's the chart link there. Okay, and next one. All right, OC. We want to look at this. Bittrex? Yeah. So I like the fact that these guys keep putting in higher highs and higher lows. That's encouraging. Given the fact that, you know, what we've seen in the broader crypto environment, seeing this guy actually just work his way back down against these lows seems completely logical. I think it's pretty obvious if we lose these lows in here, that's going to be more of a long-term structural failure. These guys keep talking about this Dion's thing. Dion's. Does anybody know when Dion's is supposed to be coming? Oh, yeah. Takes forever. Interesting, on the weekly chart, there was a price gap there. That's interesting. Didn't notice that before. So if anything, maybe the weekly close here will actually fill that gap in. So that's good to see. We might be in this kind of environment where we just probe against lows, right? You can see momentum. There's just nothing to get too excited about here. So I think this guy's in drift mode. I do like the fact that higher highs and higher lows off higher time frames, but I think what you gotta, anybody interested in this, you gotta find out what the hell's going on with that damn Dion's thing. And just keep hearing getting delayed. It might be Max asks, is there some sort of market symmetry here? Because it kind of looks like a head and shoulders pattern, eh? So if we go, even let's go from here all the way to the top, and then we'll flip that around. It looks something like that, eh? What do you think, Max? Is that what you're sort of thinking? Yeah, so that would create, now, you know, we can't assume now that this is how it's going to play out. It's just nothing more than a speculation. But if it does play out like that, it would be sort of like your head and shoulders like that. And if anything, this would actually correspond well with my sort of thesis that we're getting near the end of this cycle of crypto, getting near the end of the euphoria. And, you know, sadly, I hate to say it, guys, and I know you're not going to like this, but as of sort of January 2018, I actually have to become a commodity bear for the next 20 years. So if crypto is still a commodity and a store of value, that means I'm going to be losing interest in the crypto space. I think, you know, just like growth stories, some companies grew during the fear cycle. There will be individual cryptos that will do well, but I could very easily see over the next year this, you know, clearly we're watching the market getting overinflated. All the public's coming rushing in on cue, doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And, you know, these things, you know, 3 years ago we had a very similar type of crypto market where everything just melted up together. If we see that event happen into the fall, September, October, November, we see Bitcoin going up. We see altcoins also going up at the same time, and it's just an absolute orgy of profits and woo. Then I think it's probably put a fork in our kind of talk. I think really with this guy here, the make or break is this Dion's. So if you are interested in IOC, you got to really follow this story. What the hell are these guys doing? Because they've been talking about this Dion's forever. And I think that's probably why the market's stalled here, is because they're just not delivering on it. All right, who's next? AMD. AMD just sort of rallied right back up to the top end of its trading range, didn't it? Didn't we look? I seem to remember we looked at AMD and we looked at NVIDIA late into the week. Yeah, so that's interesting. So it actually rallied up, tested the high, and then crapped out. That's a bit surprising. Bit of an empire up here. Yes, you're here. What you want to know about AMD? P.S. I'm out. That was on the fundamental event. Yeah, well, you know, top end of the range. I don't think it should shock us that we failed here. And did they miss? Wait, was this an earnings report? Did they? So they did. And what did they? They over delivered, but what was forward guidance? Did they say, oh, maybe business isn't looking so rosy down the road? And if anything, what we should keep an eye on if you are interested in stocks like AMD is what is the SOX doing? So do you follow the SOX? Stuart? Whoa, oh boy. That doesn't look so good, does it? Would it, and when I look at a chart like that, what do you think the very first thing is that jumps out at me? Somebody sees something that you go, holy crap. Yeah, it's not smiling just yet, but there is one bar in particular that sure stands out to me. Yeah. So Sjord just see it. I don't know whether you guys see this or not, but this one candle is a massive bearish engulfing bar, right? That's not very healthy. And the interesting thing is that probably shows up on the weekly charts. I wonder what it looks like on the weeklies. Okay, so it doesn't show up on the weeklies, and if anything, this is perfect testament, right? Wicks and tails like to be eaten coming up against these candle body highs. But wow, this daily chart just not very happy at all. I think if anything, you know, like we said, Wicks tails like to be eaten, test candle body highs, blah, 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 blah. Should it surprise us that this guy's looking a little toppy up here? What's interesting too is look how it was like literally the candle before the meltdown. I think this is where all the institutions got caught going long. So it's interesting how they literally brought the market right back into that level. And then we got another nasty face plant here. So, and of course, Swiss cheese on the downside here. So, you know, is this investment grade? I think maybe we just leave the stocks alone. Holy crap. Look at that, eh? So, you know, if anything, this might even be a situation where we want to seriously take a look at a put option for the fall. And you see that this is the 50% level all the way down here. Wow. So here we are up at 1100 and the 50% level is sitting at 846. That's some serious bananas, eh? And if anything, this is kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. And the media is going to label this a crash, but I don't think this is a crash. I think this is nothing more than just a very natural, healthy technical cleanup. If anything, thank you for mentioning this. I think I'm going to go take a real good look at maybe some January put options. That's a very interesting looking chart. Look at TXN for fun, where the 50% retracement is. Long way down. Texas Instruments. Oh, holy caramba! Look at that failure. Wow. Incredible. Look at that, eh? Son of a gun. $64 and the stock's sitting at 80. So can everybody see? And this is the cool part about being a professional technician. Do you guys see that we can kind of see the future? You know, considering the seasonality, are we supposed to be looking for a bottom in stocks or a top in stocks around this time of year? What? You're kidding me. Gabby, maybe it would be a good project for you to go and look, Google, and maybe you too, Mike, Google what is the typical stock market performance through the month of September. Usually the stock market doesn't do very well in the month of September. How does the cliche go? Are we supposed to be buying when it's sunny and it's beach weather? Or are we supposed to be buying when it's snowing and crappy weather? Yeah. So, you know, I can see the trap is already, you know, it's being laid here. Oh, I like that one, James. Where's any? Any. That one's for any. Buy snow bunnies, sell beach bunnies. I like that. Yeah. And I suppose there can be male and female bunnies, right? We don't, it's not a sexist statement. Okay, let's keep moving on here. Let's see. So hopefully we talked about AMD and the semiconductors. Possible for a short tutorial on shorting on BitMEX. Well, you know, BitMEX is fairly simple. I think we have the account open here. I think this trade's actually basically on scratch. Let's see what we got here. Okay, are you gonna work? Oh my goodness, we got so many of these silly things. Where is it? Oh, there it is. All right, and then I know that this will time out, so I might as well just redo it. Okay. Okay, so oh, we're in the money by 9%. Woo! It's not really that difficult. I think probably the biggest thing to sort of wrap your head around on BitMEX is each of their contracts is supposed to technically be $1 worth of Bitcoin. So when I sell 5,000 contracts, what I'm really selling is like 5 grand worth of Bitcoin. And if that's at 2,700 and change, then really what it's saying is, you know, on leverage, I'm selling about 2 Bitcoins. We had to put about 0.2 Bitcoin down to secure the position. And we just let it work. It's really not that difficult. Probably the weirdest thing about BitMEX is because they don't want people, I'm quite sure why that's putting that size. There we go. Because they don't want people running the futures market to run people out based on the futures price. You trade off of the candles, and that's the futures or the forwards contract price. But your account is valued based on the line, which is sort of their BitMEX index. So as you can see right now, I don't know whether it shows. You can see that, and the index and their forwards are very close. But you can see where the bids and offers here are 27.10, 27.10. The market's like stopped quite often, and you see, I think, index price, mark price. Yeah, so you see how they have the difference here. Your position's going to be, I think they value your position based off of this price, but this is the price that you're actually going to trade. It's a little bit of getting used to. It's a little bit weird, but on balance, I think it's in your best interest so that, you know, on these insane tails here, for example, you don't get margin flushed out because somebody's running the BitMEX order book. Your position is valued off of their index line. Really, you know, you can trade. They've got a whole bunch of different products, right? All you got to do is just have some equity in your account, and you can strap on these contracts at your leisure. And this one, like you can see where the market is versus what they're going to value your account at. Some of them are fairly widespread, so be careful. But in essence, that's basically how this market works. If anything, what I would suggest you do is open up an account and just do one contract just for fun. It's like $1, big freaking deal. Yeah, I think on balance, if anything, what you want to do is start out with the lowest margin rate possible just to get the feel. You know, yes, you can go up to absolutely insane margin levels, 100x. And I suppose, you know, if you want to build a trading plan, like, for instance, we have one site member, Ian, who seems to really do well off of the lower time frames and picking levels. And if he throws in just like 0.001 BTC or whatever on a trade, and he goes at like 100x leverage, well, technically 0.01 BTC at 100x, he's controlling one full Bitcoin with that 0.01 BTC. But you need to understand at 0.01 BTC at 100x leverage, he's going to get flushed out very, very quickly if he's wrong. So if you're prepared to work orders at levels and just live with the results, it's not a bad way to trade. It's kind of fun. Very high octane, sort of get used to being flushed easily. And if you hit it and you're right, well, you can make a pile of money. If anything, I would say for new people to trading, let's leave that alone. That's extremely psychologically taxing, high anxiety, and you got to be watching the screen like literally 24/7. It's not something that you can just set and forget. Now I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a bookkeeper, whatever. I'm going to just go do my day job and trade 100x. Careful. You're asking for trouble there. Okay, so I'm not really going to talk too much about MEX. Hopefully that gives you an idea. It is extremely straightforward. My advice is go on and play. For the first month that I was on this site, just to try and get used to it, I put in like 5 contract orders, 10 contract orders, just to get sort of the feel for how the trading works. And I would highly recommend that you all do exactly the same. Somebody asked me the other day, if you had your choice between MEX and OKCoin, I actually like the fluidity of OKCoin better. I like their trading tools. They feel like they're built more for traders. It's just my personal feeling. It's just my feeling. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think it's a little less confusing, the OKCoin platform. But you have to understand that if you want to play OKCoin's game, that OKCoin isn't going to make it easy for you. They're not going to kiss your ass, and customer support, customer service is like almost non-existent. So that's my warning about trading on OKCoin forwards. And if anything, we've talked about this at length, especially in the school and stuff. You have to understand that when you go to China and you do business with them, there's not going to be any empathy for you if they fuck you over. All right, it's just as simple as that. Excuse the French, but hey, let's be adults about this and let's call a spade a spade. They don't give a rat's ass about you. So, buyer beware. If anything, I think you're probably going to get a little more empathetic ear from MEX. That's just sort of my personal experience with both platforms. I think if anything, they built these platforms and have specifically sort of said, and now that OKCoin has actually detached their forwards trading from their OKCoin cash market, I think they've opened. Hold on. Excuse me. Thank you, Graham. Hey, sometimes I go 4, 5, and 6. That was a late one. I think if anything, they've decided, and the attitude is, look, you come and play this is a casino. We used to call OKCoin the casino. I don't hear too many people talk about OK Casino that much anymore. So, caveat emptor, buyer beware. You better know what you're doing. And if you don't, my advice to you is paper trade, right? You can build out an awesome ledger. You can build out a log. You can take screenshots. You can, in fact, I think MEX even has a sim trader. So if you want to, and I think the best thing for every new peer person to do is, and I say this at length in our education programs, but every single student hates me when I do say it. But I think these guys even have a nice little sim trader, and I think, yeah, we even have the link right here. Right, my advice to you is just go and sim trade for a while, right? So get to the point where you can trade setups, right? You can be disciplined, you can be patient, and yeah, actually show your subconscious that, hey, I can actually do this, and then go and put some money to work. Right, so we lost Thajin. Interesting name, Thajin. Okay, let's see, what else should we talk about here today? EFL, that's one of those Dutch coins. Those EFL coins, the Dutch coins are fun, aren't they? This is sort of the little brother to NLG. I know a lot of people like to talk about this. Can I trade on BitMEX in the US? I don't think so. You can call your congressman and thank them. But I don't think so. I don't think it's open to any Americans, either of those exchanges. Which is sad, right? But hey, Big Brother's watching out for you, right? Yeah, you could probably that sim. You could probably is that what you mean, Graham? The sim? Yeah. So at least get used to it. These little coins, I think, you know, by all means, if you can buy against the lows and look to sell halves on doubles, there's lots of trades to be done here. See some serious volatility over the past week. That's probably when this person asked me to look at this thing. Very choppy, and if anything, if you were given these treats over the past week or two, be thankful you got them. You know, if anything, great analogy of why we want to work open orders to sell halves on doubles. Sometimes these rallies just, whoop, gone. Anyway, I thought this was a bull. No, sorry. You have to sometimes be worried, you know, if you do follow this coin in particular, was there some sort of news event? Was there some sort of fundamental driver that actually they were bidding price up into, and now is that over? My hunch is, looking at this chart, there was something that they were building price up into. Fundamental event is done, and now we go back into washout mode. I suppose you could argue on balance volume probably looks pretty attractive here. Yeah, you can see that basically on balance money is flowing into this name. So that tells me if we get any kind of dips into these tails, I think they're buying opportunities. Don't chase, can't pay up here, do your fibs. 3 reasons, right? And I do like the fact that on balance, money is flowing into this name, not out. Sold my double on that peak. Excellent, Sjord. So Sjord, and actually this is great because for the longest time, Sjord wasn't participating in the little old lady's crypto experience, and now he's even himself now running his own account. So great to hear Sjord bang out those doubles. It's just running a business and making money from trading. Way to go, man. And if anything, maybe even the coins that you did sell get bids off of these tails to go and buy them back for a second car. All right, excellent. So I want to see how many cars Sjord can build on his little Dutch coin. And this is funny, right? Because anytime you talk about investing in this and you talk to Dutch Rob, I know we don't see Dutch Rob's here every now and then. I'm sure if he watches this later, hey Rob. He's like, oh, this one's garbage. But if anything, you know, it's a great testament to what is garbage in crypto. I would argue that, you know, these two coins, this is the more senior one, NLG, but it's just going up and down and following its path as well. My hunch is that EFL sort of follows in the footsteps of this guy. So my hunch is this guy will bottom, he'll start to take off again, and then that's when you'll see the bottom on EFL come in and rinse and repeat. So Dutch coins gave us a nice little rally here, very respectable. Off of the lows, now it looks like there's consolidating. And if anything, can you guys see how this is a name that didn't get idiotic when Ethereum went to 400 and all, you know, and Digi went nuts and Waves and Ubiq. This guy didn't really do much. Do you guys see that? So that means that when this guy's ready to go, he has got the green light. Can you see that this guy's gone through that correction process and he's setting the base for the next rally? Yeah, I mean, personally, I love Made, right? And I better watch my P's and Q's here, or I can feel a dirty joke coming in here, so I better be careful. But I love buying into this name down here. If anything, this is, you know, and kind of like the Nautilus, same thing, right? I'm like literally, as these things are coming right back down against the lows, I'm in there buying. Look at the knot. Hello. Look at what this son of a gun's doing down here. Look at that cute little W trying to come in on Willie here. You know, and these are coins that just, they didn't really participate. You know, this guy here, he's just been sitting, stick in the mud. So these are the kind of coins that are going to rally the next sort of crypto rally. Not the Ethereums, not the Digis, right? Well, no, I think, did you watch that last Coinergy show that we did? Alex seems to think that the guy is still pretty active. What the hell's his name again? Anyway, he's on CNBC and does all that crap. And if anything, I would actually kind of prefer that we have talk, that everybody's abandoned, everybody hates this thing, and it comes right into these lows and they're still holding. That's perfect. To me, that's awesome. If we heard talk of abandoning and stuff and they were breaking these lows and closing below, then that wouldn't be good to me. The fact that this thing's just gone so quiet and really dormant in here and done like nothing through all of this mess, that's music to my ears. Now, of course, remember, guys, there's no guarantees in any of this. So don't be going in, all right, let's go mortgage the house and load up on NOT because Brian says we're not going to get rich. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Yeah, Made is, though, that's kind of comparing apples and oranges, though, Garrett, because Made is a framework for a whole bunch of other coins, right? It's kind of like a Ubic or a Waves or Ethereum or something, if I understand the ecosystem correctly. NOT is this guy's little pet project. Right, he wants it to be the currency for the Greek islands. Remember, there's going to be a Greek island that was going to adopt NOT as its official currency. So they're kind of like apples and oranges. I wouldn't classify them in the same category. Okay, let's see. EFL BAT is showing a little bit of a bottom. All right, let's see what we got there. BAT. Time is 11:30. Oh boy. You know, and actually we did a couple of these things recently. Oh, is that a link? What do you got there for us? BK Capital, is this on? Oh, what the hell is all this? Ooh, groovy. What are you showing us here, Benjamin? Is this that guy, Brian Kelly? Is that his name, Brian Kelly? Yeah. So who knows where the hell NOT fits into all of this? But you know, this guy's a player, right? He knows how to work the system. If anything, when I look at something like this NOT, the way it is, it's almost perfect, right? Missing your 90s disco music. Thanks, man. All right, so what I've seen, and this happens repeatedly, guys, is when these ICOs come out, they often try and establish ranges. I don't mind taking nibbles off the bottoms of these ranges, but I see this happen time and time again. These ICOs will just grind their way lower. So be careful here, guys. I've been doing some of my little nanny nibbles on a few of these names, and I can see most of them are still moving lower. There's just this, I've just seen this year after year after year. We can't really declare a bull until we see some serious actual W's come in. If we look at, just simple price momentum and volume momentum, I don't see anything to get too excited about here. If anything, I think, because we lost these original lows, I think I really got to see this W come in. You'll notice that if we do accept this W, then all it means is we've accepted, and we don't really want to be below this ICO initial dump level. So for me to turn bull on this thing again, I got to see the market recapture that level, and I got to leave it at that. I know everybody wants to try and pick the bottom, call the bottom. Unless it can hold these initial lows and start to turn up in earnest, if it loses these lows, then I got to say, cool your jets. And that's what I got to just sort of leave it out on that guy. Okay, what are the indicators that decide which are the top and bottom altcoins in the daily scanner? Sometimes the chart looks similar on both. So the daily scanner results are basically our algorithm that we built. And the algorithm itself, what the hell's the damn page? The algorithm itself is a combination of 3 different time frames and about 15 different technical indicators within each of the time frames. And it creates this, we call it the algo. My 1980s website, I called it the Delacour Index. But it's basically what this indicator is. It's an amalgamation of about 45 different technical signals. And the moving averages, the red line, the yellow line, that's what they are. They are the 13-period moving average and the 30-period moving average of that cumulative technical indicator reading. So when you scroll down and you look at these percentages, that's basically what they are. So if you see here the S&P 500, you can see that it's sitting right up in the 70s area, right? And you scroll down and you see it says 71. That's basically what that reading is. And if you mouse on over to the chart, there is that chart blown up, right? The SPY. And there is the indicator, and you can see, does that say 70 there though? I don't know whether it does or not. Looks like it's a little bit lower on this chart. So I don't know if that's today's reading or if it's yesterday's. Looks like it's probably yesterday's reading. Probably as of the last print. Actually, Seward's here, so I don't know whether Seward can hear me. But in essence, it looks like that's basically the print from yesterday. So the 71 is basically that number right there. I hope that helps answer that question. I would like, and we're building out a new, just for reference here, everybody, we're building out a functionality on the site so we can have a drop-down menu. So you can select what asset you'd like to look at. I've been a little verklempt with the team about the fact that we can only look at the S&P 500 and only look at the charts that have these camera images. I would like to give you guys the ability to surf through all of our assets and look at these charts individually. Just understand it's coming. It's on the list of to-dos. We actually had a really, really big job task that had to be recently conquered, I guess Seward's not here now, but we want to get the automated notification system for the fills on the crypto page when they come in, get it automatically sent out to members as sort of an opt-in service on the site. And Seward's been working like a dog for like the past month and a half on this project. It's been super, super difficult. So we had a big sort of milestone reached, I think it was yesterday, the day before, one of our sort of mail chimp server things said they're good to go. So that's sort of what was priority number 1. And then priority number 2, I think actually Seward is talking to a third-party team to actually see if we can farm out the job of getting this more user-friendly and more sort of front-end friendly for you guys. So it is in the works. Please understand we got a ton of tasks on the go here. And also to understand, if you're not aware of this, we are actually planning on migrating to a whole new different platform, moving away from the WordPress platform sometime in the fall, early winter. So I think Sjord and Julian have actually sort of planned that all of this stuff comes together through that event. So that just gives you sort of an update of what's going on there. All right, anything else we should talk about here? Last one, no longer need my request. Thanks. All right. Hope I helped you, Tim. Okay, we've been talking now for about an hour and a half, eh? Hope you guys have enjoyed the presentation here. Did you guys have any specific requests before we sort of wind this up that maybe I missed? Does anybody want me to look at anything just while you got me here? If so, I'm going to fill my coffee cup up when I come back. If I see some requests, we'll take a look at them. If not, we'll call it a day. Yeah, but make some more coffee. Well, I have to leave it at that. All right. Not seeing any further requests. I guess you guys are good to go. Why don't we leave it at that? You guys have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. Be sure to have your plan in place with regard to this fork. We've given you a bunch of alternatives, a bunch of options to think about here. And by all means, pop into the lounge if you have questions and ask, our various different alumni how they're going to handle the situation. And let's all get through this together. Okay, guys? All right, so you guys have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. We'll do, of course, a daily brief first thing tomorrow morning. But all the best, and bye for now.